B. Benchwarmer. We spent a couple of days in a recovery room. Abby had the bed, I had a chair, and the baby was in her arms or my arms or in a metal thing with wheels on it. Nobody slept much. There was a window, but it faced a brick wall, and we kept the blinds down most of the time anyway, so it was never really clear whether it was the middle of the night or noon or somewhere in between. At one point I wandered into the adjoining bathroom. The baby had fallen asleep in my arms. My plan was to hold him with one arm for a few seconds so I could take a leak, but I only got the one arm about an inch away from the baby before wrapping it back around him and pulling him tighter to my chest. I wasn't ready for any fancy one-arm stuff. I stared down at the object of my two-armed hold. There were moments in those first couple of days when I believed I'd just marvel at him unblinkingly for the rest of my life. But there were other moments when it all seemed too much, and I had to look away. In this particular instance, I looked from the baby to the big mirror behind the sink. I'd avoided looking in that mirror to that point, as I'd wanted to steer clear of any additional visitations from the overwhelmed, unshaven reliever at the center of the Red Sox's 1986 World Series collapse. But it turned out that by this time, a day or so into my son's life, these visions of Schiraldi were in remission. The mirror contained only its usual occupant. Caucasian, early 40s, unruly receding hair, thick glasses, fairly tall. Not so tall as to suggest the high probability of a history as a college basketball player, but tall enough nonetheless to have served as a backup to the backup forwards on the 1987-88 Johnson State College Badgers. Still generally as weakling thin as during that season and all preceding losing seasons, but now with a minor yet irreducible thickness around the midsection. Gray-flecked Van Dyke goatee grown in an attempt to cover the age-related disintegration of the jawline and to balance severe eyebrows and bulging eyes. In those bulging eyes, worry. Worry had been with me for a long time, but now had sprung into full bloom, due to the other face visible in the reflection, pink, tiny, crinkled, so new that flecks of his mother's blood still clung to the folds of his ears. The feeling of lightness in my arms was the source of the worry. Jack was his name. Jack. He weighed less than a shoebox of baseball cards. He weighed so little as to be almost weightless, filled with helium, the worry that a single instance of carelessness in what has been a careless, mistake-riddled life would lead to this being slipping from my grasp, lifting up and out the window and disappearing into the sky. How do you even hold something so fragile, light, loved,